Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Needle. I'm Mike Lemieux, I'm your host, and this is my lovely guest today, Rashae Doyle. Rashae is the owner and founder of Bevel Up here in Tampa and soon to be other places as well.
Hmm.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, cool. She's opening her second location in downtown Tampa. Right now we're in Midtown Tampa. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful location. You've been here 3 years, right?
Yes.
Yep. And the downtown, we're shooting this summer of 2024, and the downtown location is going to be open in the fall, early fall,
Expected September, yes.
expected September. So
If things go well.
if things go well, and hopefully they do, um, we're doing a full content shoot here. I decided let's do a podcast as well because
Might as well.
this podcast is about interviewing leaders in the space, interviewing people who are making waves, who are just brilliant, incredible providers, very good business owners. And we're trying to provide a lot of value for those in the space who are trying to learn themselves or have been in it a while and feel stagnant, who want to get in. And that's a lot of what you do as well because
Yeah.
you train,
Hmm.
you have a huge team, you're opening up a second location. But thank you again for being here and doing everything with us. This has been a great experience. So
Wow, thank you
I
for
want
all the accolades. That
is
was
this
awesome.
yeah
It
is
felt
this your
good.
is this your first podcast that you've been a guest on?
No, I've had a couple, yes.
Good,
This
okay.
is my probably third or fourth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so where I want to start is your journey and how you became a med spa owner, because you've been doing aesthetics, even though you can't tell. You've been doing aesthetics for a really long time.
Thanks. You're saying I look really young?
Exactly. So just really quickly, give us a rundown of how you got to where you are today or with Bevel Up. Let's start there.
I mean, if you go back to when I first started, I was kind of at the right place at the right time, I think, when I graduated from PA school. I came out right when Botox was first FDA approved here in the United States.
Amazing.
And that was 2002 or 2003. And at the time I was super young. I was 26, 27 years old. And I thought, this is the craziest thing ever. Who's going to want to use a toxin and put it in their face?
Right.
And
Everybody. It turns out many
pretty much
many people.
everybody. Yeah. It's not really faux pas now anymore to even talk about Botox. I think it's pretty easy to talk to anybody about it, and they pretty much have heard of it or have tried it or going to try it.
Yeah, I think in the aesthetics world, Botox is probably the most recognized brand name.
For sure. It's
For
kind of
sure.
like Kleenex.
Yep.
Yeah. I always make the mistake sometimes when I'm working with other companies calling the same neurotoxin Botox, and it's not actually Botox. And I'm like, sorry, it's just like a name brand. It's
Right.
like the Kleenex. But yeah, so I kind of was at the right place at the right time. I was in dermatology as a dermatology PA, and just started working with the injectables. I think the first one that came out was Restylane. And then actually, let's go back a little bit. To be honest, it wasn't a hyaluronic acid filler. It was a collagen filler.
Okay.
And it was bovine collagen. You had to do like a test to make sure no one was going to have a reaction to it. And they only lasted about 3 months, and it was horrible. And it's like these people were coming in and getting needles in their face every 3 months. Who would want to do this? And, I didn't need it at the time.
Yeah.
And just kind of evolved over the years. I kind of have a natural knack, I think, just for being creative. I was a dancer for 15 years and doing ballet, and I love the arts.
Yeah.
And I just think I really had a good knack for just working with people and seeing how to help them get back to kind of where they wanted to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really for me, that's what aesthetics is all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody has your approach. Not everybody likes to enhance the natural beauty.
Right.
But you have a style and ideology, we could say, that let's just get you back to what's your optimal look, feel, etc. And I love that about what you guys do here.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things with our brand as we're growing it, and probably at the core of who I am, it's all about being very natural. I really didn't fall into the trap. And maybe trap is not the right word to use, but I never felt comfortable using 6 to 12, syringes with every client that walked through the doors. I knew that there was something that was different and something that was better.
Yeah.
And I like to use more natural approach. And when I say that, I'm talking about regenerative treatments. And a lot of that is kind of evolving now. And I love kind of where this industry is headed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you started around 2001, 2002,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2003, and then worked, got tons of experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then you opened Bevel Up in 2021.
Well, it seems like it wasn't that fast. I would say my character or who I am, I'm not a risk taker.
Yeah.
I
Which is surprising to hear because I know what your goal is.
Yes.
Your big goal, your big business goal.
Right.
So that's surprising.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a risk taker. I like to overanalyze things. I like to know. I like safety and security. So I want to make sure when I'm making a decision that I'm making a decision that's going to be effective or it's going to give me the result that I want to achieve or have.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to kind of come to the conclusion that this is what I need to do on my own.
Yeah.
Like for years, people would tell me, "You're so talented. You should just do this yourself. Why are you working for somebody else?"
Yeah.
And I think it was also a belief system too, like not knowing that I was actually as valuable or as worthy.
Yeah. That you were that good.
That I was that good that I could open up my own place and be successful. And so it was a while. I think I probably thought about it for 5 or 6 years before I actually took the step to go and get the business name filed with the state.
Mm-hmm.
And then even then it took me 4 years, a lot of it due to COVID. I think we talked about that earlier off camera here, but it took me a long time to kind of get to the point where I could push myself to make that next step.
Did you ever feel like the overanalyzing, and we'll call it overanalyzing, I don't think it's over, but the analyzation of and prepping, do you ever feel like it was too much? Do you feel like I just need to jump in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting because I'm kind of like you. I like to try to read ahead to see how I think it's going to happen, which my therapist actually has told me, you don't need to do that all the time.
Right.
But when do you feel like somebody would be ready? How did you know when you actually were? Was there like a point when someone said something, you said something, you had enough that you actually went and created your company?
Probably a combination of all that. I feel like there was always something that was missing at every doctor's office or plastic surgeon's office I was in, whether it was the culture or their values and how they believed in treating people. And even I think what I was allowed to do, meaning like what choices I had to make with what products I was to use, like all of those things kind of I felt handcuffed with, and I just didn't feel comfortable being there.
Yeah.
And so I think, like you said, I think it's a combination of like kind of being afraid to take that step, but also knowing that other people are cheering for you and you should probably
believe in yourself.
Just believe in yourself and just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I think that the fact that you had people around you that saw who you probably felt that you were too, but still you got to make sure.
Yeah. I mean, I still, even to this day, I don't feel like I truly feel the value that I can give. Like I'm a very humble person.
Yeah.
And I know that what I do changes people's lives, and I know that I'm very talented, but there's a piece of me that doesn't want to, not that I don't want to share it with the world, but I don't want to sound like I am bigger than the world or bigger than someone else, because I don't want them to feel devalued as well. And I know that's not the right way to be.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that's why I do attract a certain client that comes to me, because I hold them a little bit higher even than myself. You know, I make them feel even better than I would make myself feel even. And maybe that's a superpower in a sense, but maybe it's also my kryptonite.
It could be.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is hearing all of this is I think that, can we say what your goal is for Bevel Up?
Yeah.
Why don't you say it? I'm not going to take the words from you.
Well, originally I said I'm going to open 10. When I first started this, I'm
10 locations.
I'm going to open 10 locations.
Yeah, which is a phenomenal, I mean, a med spa with 10 locations is phenomenal.
It's a big feat.
It's a big feat.
And that's a lot for me to swallow even. But I just recently read a book, 10X is easier than 2X. And the purpose, or what I got or gathered from that book, was that if you set a higher goal, you actually change the way you approach that goal than if you only approached it as if you're going 2 times or 2x.
So it's like you're going to work differently depending on what goals you set for yourself.
And so even if I don't reach that 10x goal, I will get closer to the 10x and
so much further beyond the 2x.
So much further beyond the 2x.
Yeah.
And so after reading that book, and then also we're in the same mastermind with Chris Harder, and I got the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to go bigger,
Yeah.
go home, right? And I said, I'm going to add a 0. I think it was Dean Graciosi that actually said that one time in a talk that we were at, or maybe you weren't there, but he was saying, whatever you're thinking, just add a 0.
And when you heard that,
I was like, okay.
So take us to that moment, because 100 locations at first feels, to me, unfathomable. But I'm an outsider. I'm not in the business day to day like you are.
Right.
And so when you hear Dean say, add a 0,
Right.
did it hit you hard immediately? Were you like, oh, shoot, he's actually talking to me. I really feel this. Because I've been there with certain things before. So is that how it happened?
Absolutely. It was like, why are you thinking so small?
100 locations.
Go for it.
Yeah.
If you don't reach it, at least you die trying.
So you're not living in the, well, I might not hit it, but
Right.
you're like, I'm going to do 100.
Right.
Wow. Is it going to be all over the country?
Well, yeah, it would have to be.
It have to be, right?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, Florida's a big state. We can
Florida's
do a lot in Florida.
Florida's, there's
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wrinkles.
There's a lot of wrinkles. There's a lot of sun exposure and sun damage
There's
for sure.
There's a lot of that. We need you out in Arizona too, because there's a lot of that as
Sunny
well.
states, California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any international locations that you think you would open?
Everything's possible.
Everything is possible. 100 locations. I like being around you because I feel
Likewise.
like, and I've been learning this about myself over the past 24 hours plus that we've been doing our shoot, is that I have high ambitions as well. I'm feeling a little emotional about it.
Yeah.
But I'm scared of that. I'm not scared of going after it. I'm honestly scared of what happens if I succeed.
Yes.
And I'm nervous that the success, which is crazy because you can't count your eggs before they hatch, but the success and the unknown of what my life will be like is what scares me. I don't want it to take up all of my time.
Yeah.
And so what I am trying to do is figure out a way to scale certain parts of my business without scaling my time. And there's no way that you'll be able to get to 100 if you don't figure out how to scale without you, outside of you, right? So talk to me about, and how does someone who wants to get to a second location, because you're there, like it's happening.
Yeah.
How does someone that's a med spa owner get to location number 2? How do they know that they're ready for that, or that they should just go for it?
I mean, that's kind of a hard question, because I think I'm 100% ready to do number 2? No. But do I think I've taken a lot of the steps to kind of prepare myself to feel comfortable and confident to go to that next step? Yeah, I think I have a lot of the right people surrounding me, building a team that can support me, and seeing the growth and improvement in everybody around me.
Yeah.
And seeing that we have been successful, I think, has given me the confidence to know that I can go do number 2. And then also, to your question, sometimes you just have to do it and learn as you go.
It's like, just like you believed in yourself enough to open up number 1, maybe you have to believe in yourself.
Right.
And it might feel scary still, different,
Yeah.
because you already have something. But yeah. And how do you find the right people? Because you have an amazing team. How do you find them? Or do they find you? Is it networking? Is it... Just being around. You do trainings too. Are you finding people that way as well, or
Yes.
what's?
Yes. I mean, if you're talking about injectors, I think that is a great way that I have found some really good talent, by being able to be in close proximity to
Mm-hmm.
people who are wanting to get into this industry, who are learning,
Yeah.
and being able to provide that to them. But also, I think it's also finding the right people who also can find people for you. Like I had what do you call it? I'm losing the word. Um, Someone who headhunts, basically.
Yeah, headhunter,
Headhunter.
like a job scout
Yeah, yeah.
type of thing. Yeah.
So found my operations manager, and she found her when she wasn't even looking to find a new job,
Wow. Okay.
and kind of plucked her out that way. But I needed somebody who knew more about this industry, even more about the operations of it than I did,
Yeah.
because I was drowning. I was in the weeds. I was
Yeah.
wearing all these hats, and there's no way that I could be the right person for the team to lead them, to move them to where they are. But networking is very, very important too.
And you're great at networking. You are.
I'm happy you say that,
You
because
are.
I don't see myself as a great networker. I'm an introvert, so it's like hard for me to go out and just every day say, "Oh, I'm going to go to this networking event," and just go and talk to someone,
But
some
you're-
stranger that I've never met.
But you are.
But I do.
You're doing it.
And I think the more you practice something, the better you get at it, and
Yeah.
the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my team all the time, because that's, I think, very important if you're going to grow your own business, because they all have little mini businesses within my business. You've got to learn to be able to go and market yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
What would you say is the most rewarding part about what you do, either as a business owner or a provider? What do you look forward to the most?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I feel like they kind of coincide with each other. I love to see the growth in both my team and also in the client who's sitting in my chair.
Yeah.
Making an impact on a client, for instance, sitting in the chair, when they look in the mirror and they see themselves as they used to be,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the smile on their face, and seeing the gratefulness,
Yeah.
and remembering who they are. That's solely one of the biggest moments that I share
Yeah.
with them in the room, but then also with my team. When they have an aha moment, or they actually finally see that something that I've been teaching them or training them on actually works.
Yeah.
That's so fulfilling to be able to share that with them. I mean, I think that's what we're all here, is to be able to share our gifts to the world and help them become better people.
Totally.
And I think I use this platform for both, my clients, and also, the team that I'm building up around me. So,
What would you say for somebody wanting to grow their clientele?
mm-hmm.
Not necessarily retention, but it could be to grow their retention as well. But somebody who's in growth mode right now, what's the most important one or two things that they need to focus on? Is it learning new treatments? Is it getting better at them? Is it focusing on the customer? Is it a new device?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on two of the things that just popped in my head. And there's a number of things that you can do to kind of grow yourself. But I think you need to dig your heels in and go and take courses, learn as much as you can. I always tell my team, when you're young in this business, you want to make sure you're investing in the S in me, not the S and P.
Yeah.
When you invest in yourself, you're going to get that return. So go grab courses, read books, whatever it is, podcasts.
But you do trainings too.
Go to trainings,
So-
and I do trainings as well.
And what do you train? Everything?
Yeah. From the assessment to the consultation to injectables and the techniques to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of it.
The business side of it, like you become a salesperson in this industry. And a lot of the girls don't realize that that's part of what we do.
Oh yeah. That's been the biggest thing that I've noticed is that when you're going to aesthetic school or nursing school, you're not really taught sales skills or the importance of it. It's
No,
like, here's how you do the job.
This is how you tinker the job. Yeah. This is how you make this. This is how you make this happen. This is how you improve this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they never say, here's how you get a client.
Right.
here's how you get a client to
Here's how
buy.
you nurture that client. Here's how you ascend that client through your treatment options. Like all of those things, no one teaches you, and you
Yeah.
have to kind of learn on your own. I've gotten better, and it's become easy for me to do it, but you have to practice at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have gotten better. You told me you only treat 2 days a week,
Yep.
which is amazing.
Yep. Booked out 3 months,
That's wild. 100% booked.
100% booked.
Wow. So people, once you get to that level, they're basically forced to pre-book. Otherwise, they know that if they wait
they
even
know.
a week.
They always say, don't worry, I know I'm booking before I leave because I'll never get in with you.
Right.
Yeah.
So with your trainings, you go to the providers, med spas, they come to you.
Both.
Both. Okay. That's awesome. And we'll talk about how to contact you at the end of the episode, but they could just reach out to you directly, or do they
Yeah.
call? Okay,
They
cool.
can DM me on Instagram. They can call directly here.
Speaking of Instagram, you've been killing it lately with your posts.
I'm trying.
You're doing so good.
I'm trying. I went missing for a couple of years
couple of years.
trying to grow this business, but yeah,
couple
I'm
of
trying
years.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Do you feel like,
And you were a great help.
oh, thank
You're
you.
amazing. You make it so easy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We try to make it as easy as possible.
You
So
do. You guys are great.
if I'm trying to make an extra, I normally ask like $1,000.
Okay.
If I want to make an extra $5,000, what am I gonna, like, as a provider? Let's just say either an esthetician or an injector. What am I gonna do? What's the thing that I need to focus on right now?
First and foremost, you want to hug your customer, whoever you are.
Hug your customer.
And I don't mean literally.
Okay.
It's just a figure of speech. Like, you want to make sure you're giving them the best experience when they're with you,
Okay.
and also when they leave you. So what that means, for instance, is, you give them a great outcome. You give them the best treatment while they're in your room with you.
Yeah.
And then you follow up with them. You call them and check and see how they're doing after their treatment. You ask them if they have any questions, but you also need to make a plan for them.
Okay. And when do you give them that plan? While they're still there?
Yes.
Okay.
So typically what I tell my team members to do, and this is kind of part of our whole process here, is we want them to have a full consultation.
Yeah.
So that we can kind of give them their short-term and their long-term goals. So they have an idea of what is available to them, because a lot of times they don't know what they need.
That's what I've seen too.
Yeah. And so when you give them kind of a full picture plan, and it includes skincare,
Yeah.
you're being very comprehensive, and you're making sure that they have the opportunity to, like I spoke to earlier, ascend through
Yeah.
your program. But if they come in and they're just asking for lips, for instance, I don't like for my team to think of it as a transaction. I want them to think of it as, hey, for instance, an open-ended question. Have you ever thought about the pigment on your skin? Do you use anything to help with that? We can do X, Y, Z.
So that's like a nice way of gently asking the question, bringing to their attention that
Yep.
there is something there that, okay. And then that works.
Yeah, but then also a lot of times when they're sitting in your chair and you bring up something that maybe they were afraid to even ask you, or they didn't have a clue was available to them,
Yeah.
they're now feeling very comfortable and trustworthy of you.
Yeah.
And so
that kind of opens the door to making the 5K, right? That extra 5K.
right,
Making sure that they're aware of what you offer,
giving them a plan and
giving them a plan,
hugging them.
and hugging them. Theoretically or literally too, because I know
Yeah.
I'm sure you hug your patients.
I do hug. I'm a hugger.
Yeah. So what I have seen too is a lot of the times when the clients that I work with, that we make content for them, we're trying to educate on the process of, this is what happens during the treatment, after the treatment, this is who is a good candidate, this is why you get it, this is the downtime, no downtime, etc. Because then it kind of acts as like a megaphone.
Yep.
You're able to, as long as your customers, and all of your customers should be following your Instagram. It should be something that is actively being talked about, and you have conversations with them.
Yep.
Through DMs, commenting, things like that. And this is the best way for like, you want to make an extra 5K.
I was just about to say that
Yeah.
this is the other way, is to be active on social media.
And it takes seconds to nurture them.
Yep.
Because when they come in,
Seems like it takes hours, but if it takes seconds for you, that's great.
maybe it does take hours, or it did for you. But what happens is you're building trust and rapport, sometimes daily, depending on how active you or the other person is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're able to carry that over to in person, and you don't skip a beat.
Yeah.
So instead of having to rush through while they're there and in a 5-minute or less consult at the beginning of their treatment, you're able to just pick up the conversation where you left it off. So that's why social media is so important.
Yeah.
And it's like we were talking last night. I'm a huge gardener. The past 3 years, it's honestly transformed my life. It has helped me heal so much of what has broken and happened in my life. And we were talking yesterday, we went to dinner and we were talking about the difficult time that sometimes it is to post.
Yep.
And you were off for 3 years. But what happens is you realize that you're not just posting social media for your patients. You really are posting it for yourself. And especially for you, and especially for anyone listening that's in the process of building, you're going to be able to look back and think, whoa.
Yep.
And you'll remember where you came from. And that's really important because we need to have reminders that we actually are doing good.
Yep.
You need to remember that you're at a point right now that 7 years ago, when you were thinking about opening this place,
Yeah. It's amazing to think
that
about.
you hoped and were scared of, maybe a little, but you hoped that you would be here, and you are.
Yeah. I imagined it, and I'm here.
And the content that you make right now, talking about what's going to happen over the next 10-ish years, you're going to look back and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
So that's what content really is. It's for us. It's for them, but it's also to remind us as well. It's both of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I didn't realize that until you sent me that this morning. I think I shared that with you, but like,
Yeah.
it's not also just about like doing it for the person on the other side of
Yeah. It is partially
the camera
but,
or the phone, but
yeah.
like at the same time, it is about you, and it is important to get your story out because it's not going to resonate with everyone,
No.
but it's going to resonate with somebody, and that's the whole purpose.
Yeah. And so the people that you will vibe with, when they see your genuine self coming through,
Yep.
that's what it takes.
Yep. And it's hard because you have to like get past yourself.
You do.
And that's probably been the biggest roadblock for me, is like getting past myself.
How are you doing that?
I think as I get older, I'm just kind of, who gives a crap?
Yeah.
I want to use the F word, but I don't want to do it.
You can say whatever you want.
Like, honestly, I don't care anymore because I feel like I need to share
Yeah.
my message with somebody.
Think about it this way. If you don't tell your customers about a treatment option that you know they're going to benefit from,
Yeah.
you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah, but it's also like, who's out there right now that's looking at their 6 or 7 year picture that wants to do what I want to do? And if I tell them what I did, how they can skip and what is it, a Monopoly, go and or skip and pass go or whatever it is.
Go straight to go.
Go straight to go. Yes.
Collect $200.
Yeah. I could be that person that helps them collect that $200 and get to where they want to be a lot faster.
Yep. I'm sure you have been. I'm sure you have given.
I'm trying.
No, you have, for sure. To your team, to your family, to the people that you've trained.
Right.
And so, yeah, I hope that you take that as like, there are definitely people out there that are watching, that are following, that you can absolutely help.
Yeah. And I mean, kudos to you, because I feel like this past 2 days, you have transformed me in a way I never, I
Really?
want to tell you that because I looked at this as like, oh, this is a necessary part of my business. I guess I should just do this. But now I see that it's something that I should do so that I can bring my vision and my story to others, to help motivate them, to help give them a dream to hold on to or a dream to start.
Yeah.
you know?
Wow.
So thank you for that.
You're
I
welcome.
just want to share that with you. So,
Thank you. That really means a lot. And
yeah.
I'll just add to that that like it's helping me
Yeah.
because I'm scared of it. I'm scared of the success, the failure, the unknown. I like, and this comes from childhood, I like to feel like I'm going to be okay. Like it's not going to be too scary.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to get hurt. But that's not why I'm here.
Yeah.
And every time in my life that I can think of that has provided me with a large amount of growth is through the uncomfortable moments.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately.
I was just about to say that because if it's scary, that's good. That's nudging you in the direction you need to go.
So do you feel like you're embracing those feelings? Like, are you conscientiously thinking like, okay, I feel like chaos. I feel super annoyed that all this stuff is happening with the permits. Shout out City of Tampa.
I know, right?
Love you guys so much. So do you are you able to remember that in those moments, or is it coming after and you're just...
I mean, I don't think I'm perfect. I think I always have to catch myself as long as you're conscious that
Yeah.
you're starting to talk to yourself differently again and you recognize it, and then you change your thought process and you change the decision that you're going to make or who you think you're going to be or how this should look.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the moment. As long as you're taking that action, it's going to be continual. You're never going to be, if it's something that's ingrained in you and you've had since childhood, for instance, like you said, it's something that you're always going to kind of struggle with or battle with, or
Yeah.
I can't think of the term I'm trying to say for lack of...
I think though that
words.
maybe you're trying to say you learn how in spite of those things.
You do. You stop in that moment.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, hear yourself talking to yourself. That's funny. Allow myself to talk to myself about myself. But it's, you hear that inner voice saying, oh, this is too hard. You shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're recognizing that and then you're changing that thought.
Yeah.
And you're moving forward, I think that's a better step than continually just practicing the same old ways that you used to do things.
So maybe when that happens, just setting like a little trigger in your brain to recognize.
Yes.
And slow down for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the ability to make a change and a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
You got to reprogram.
Reprogram. That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay.
Is there anything that you want to say that you haven't yet about training, about... There's a couple more things that I want to do, but...
Nothing in particular.
Okay. Okay. When it comes to being the leader of a team, and by the way, I have to plug your team because everybody here that I have met has been so willing, excited about doing this.
Yeah.
They've been enthusiastic, caring. They care about the patients. They care about the experience. They love you, and you can tell. And they love being here. And they seem happy. Mm-hmm. This is a place where they come and they enjoy. Mm-hmm. There's no Sunday scaries for any of them, I bet. It's a good place.
Thank you.
How have you built this culture? Has it just been something from your first employee that you have been able to do? Have you learned? Like, the culture here is incredible. Everybody has high standards. Mm-hmm. Everybody executes. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets along and has a good sense of humor and is fun and funny. So what do you do to build a culture in a space that there's a lot of gatekeeping? There's a lot of secrets. Mm-hmm. How do you do it?
I think just living by example. I think that's just who I am to the core. I want everybody to feel empowered. I want everybody to have a voice. Speaking of past experiences, I felt like I didn't have a voice when I was younger. And so that's a big thing for me, is making sure that everybody feels comfortable and confident enough to speak up. And that's the only way you're going to grow your business as well, is if you allow your team to feel empowered enough to say, hey, maybe we should do this way. That's how you can make your business improve. And I don't want to be that person who is like, it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, I don't want to listen to that advice, or that's not something I would do.
Yeah.
It's more of, give me your ideas, because your ideas are going to generate something better here.
Yeah. And everybody here is different.
Everybody here is very different.
I'm not really seeing a lot of like twins. Nobody here is really like you. There's some people that have certain similarities to you.
They would probably say, thank God they're not like me.
No, maybe as a joke, because
as a joke, yes.
Because you guys have fun.
Yeah, no.
But you need to have unique personalities, and you allowing them to be themselves, to raise questions, to talk freely. That's an incredible way.
Yeah, and it's not about titles either here. It's not like I'm your boss and you can't come to me and you can't have an idea, or you can't say that something didn't seem right to you. I want to know. And I've always left that open communication with them. It's like, I'm willing to hear whatever ideas you have, because if it's going to make the business better and it's going to make the business grow, I want to know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. But I think it's a combination of things for us. I'm very open. I'm very vulnerable with my team. Like, they know my story. They know my background.
Yeah.
I've told everybody that. We have great connection. We always try to meet once a month. We do a team meeting. We have one-on-ones bi-weekly. It's important to make sure that you're staying close to your team and you're listening to them and spending time with them.
Because these are real people.
Yeah.
Who have real lives.
And it's not just about the business either. It's all about the lives that they live as well. Like, I want to know about their baby, how they're doing at home, or their husband and their siblings. Like, I want to know all about who they are as individuals.
Yeah. What is something that you would change about the aesthetics industry in general, or multiple things?
My gosh. I'm going to get in trouble for any of this that I say, I'm sure. Hopefully not a lot of backlash. But I think you had said earlier gatekeeping.
One second. I want you to use your voice. Remember that you said that when you were young that you were told not to use it? Mm-hmm. You get to use it. So let's hear it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of gatekeeping, and I think this industry has grown so rapidly. A lot of people are coming into the industry for the wrong reasons, because it's very lucrative. And I think they're forgetting that this is also a medical specialty. And
it's a very, very technical specialty.
Yes. And I think what bothers me is when people come into the industry and they've only been in it for, let's just say, less than 3 years. And now they are speaking on stages and they're key thought leaders. And not to say that you can't have an opinion, or that you aren't, or you don't know what this industry is all about. But it's hard for me to take you serious. It sounds a lot of cookie cutter-ish, like saying the things that everybody else is saying, or doing the things that everybody else is saying. And then social media, for instance, I think the way this industry is portrayed,
very glamorously.
Very glamorous. And it's not always glamorous. We're not always going into Gucci and buying Gucci bags and dressing up like it's a fashion show at the conferences. Like, all of these things, I think, has given this industry a bad rap. And back to the gatekeeping, I feel like a lot of people are not sharing enough to help this industry grow cohesively as a unit.
Yeah.
We're all keeping all of our secrets to ourselves, and we should be teaching and training this newer generation as they're coming up, so that they are doing the right things, and that they are taking responsibility for this industry and what we truly are, as far as being medically sound and knowing the anatomy and all these things that are very important to make sure we're keeping our patients and clients safe.
So if you decide to spill all the beans and share your secrets. How do you keep growing your business? How do you keep differentiating yourself?
I think we talked about this last night. I think a lot of people live in lack. They don't realize how much abundance is here on this earth. There is enough for everybody.
Okay.
There is no reason to think that if I share this, then I'm not going to have that.
Yeah.
If I tell them how to make more money in a week, they're going to take all the money and I'm not going to have any left.
And saying that and listening to it, it sounds ridiculous, right?
It sounds ridiculous.
It's not, but that's the feeling though.
Mm-hmm.
When we try to keep stuff to ourselves because we feel that in the moment. But then if you say it out loud, it sounds
Silly.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It sounds crazy. So
yeah. A lot of that's a mindset though. It's maybe how you were brought up.
Could be.
It's maybe life experiences, childhood experiences.
Maybe you were taken advantage of in the space.
Yep.
And maybe you've heard a lot of stories as you're getting in about people who have been taken advantage of.
Right.
So it kind of jades you without even getting in. Wow. I think that your example and what your content strategy is with lowering the gates is going to help so many people. And I actually think, I'm going to predict this, that what's going to happen is you're going to attract so many other providers, so many people that want to get into the space because you're not afraid to tell the what. The how is tricky to explain because how is what the training from you comes in. How happens over time. So you might know what, but you might not know how. And so I think that it's actually going to be a lead generator for you because people will see the what and they'll be like, oh, that actually resonates with me and makes sense. She must know what she's talking about. How can she help me to further that and get more? So I think that you're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
A couple other questions and then we're going to wrap it up. But I want to give people an opportunity to connect with you for your training, for advice on where to go in Tampa. You know all the hot spots, which I love it here, by the way. It's awesome. I can see why you stayed.
It's beautiful.
If you were only able to receive one injectable treatment and one aesthetic treatment for the rest of your life, what are you picking?
Me, one treatment I would not live without would be Sculptra, 100%.
Sculptra, okay.
It is the reason why I look 10 years younger than I am.
20.
Again, bioregenerative. I love what it does. I love the whole concept behind it. It's regenerating your own collagen. You look like yourself. You're not overdone. You're not overfilled. You can still make great expression, and no one really knows you've had anything done. Would
you say Sculptra sales are on the rise?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the whole bioregenerative, all natural, longevity, biohacking type of industry is really where it's at. And I think that's where this industry is headed. And it's an easy transition, I think, from being in aesthetics to be able to incorporate that into what we're doing.
And so one aesthetics treatment, what are you doing? Excuse me, one like a facial, or
oh
some,
my gosh,
or a peel.
Ooh, okay.
Microneedling, something like that.
I like to connect to myself, connect to the universe, connect to the energy in the world or in the environment that I'm in.
Yeah.
So I would choose a Reiki facial.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
And you offer that here.
Yes.
And I just had the pleasure of watching it happen and I was blown away.
Yes.
That was an amazing experience. It was better than receiving most facials that I've ever seen. And I was just filming it.
Just watching it. I know. It is an experience. It really helps to kind of center and ground you again.
Yeah.
And get rid of whatever you need to, the juju from the day or. Yeah. It's awesome.
The last question is, if there's one thing that you could tell your family about the journey that you're on, what you've been able to do so far, where you're headed, what would you tell your family?
Thanks for believing in me. And you're trying to make me emotional.
I think they believe in you because they've seen what you can do.
Yeah. That's a hard one. But I think thanks for believing in me, but also I feel like I was the child that really could do things more on her own. Like pretty much if you put something in front of me, I would achieve it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times they left me alone to discover who I am and go for it without actually leading.
Yeah.
And sometimes I liked that, but sometimes I just wanted to feel the recognition.
I'm happy that you have a family that believes in you.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs that. I have that too, and I'm super
Yes.
grateful for it. So everybody should be connected to Rashae, at least through Instagram. Rashae Doyle
Love to.
is your Instagram, right?
Yes.
And bevelup.com, bevelup.com.
Yes.
And book a training with her, follow her journey. I'm so excited to watch as you just keep announcing new locations. And it's going to be very exciting
I'm
to
super
watch.
excited too. Yeah.
Thank you for being on Behind the Needle today.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Take care of yourself, everybody.